Logan. Now, this is not a review that I have really been looking forward to doing because I am completely and utterly conflicted on this movie. Now, going into this, I was thinking that this was going to be easily top 5 best films of the year, if not my best film of the year. And there's a very simple reason for that, and that is hype. I mean, this movie was so hyped. That amazing trailer with Johnny Cash's Hurt on it set the tone, and then the first reviews that came out of the Berlin Film Festival were absolute raves. They were comparing this to The Road, Children of Men. You know, they were saying this is like a Cormac McCarthy movie, and I was thinking, and it's hard R-rated, and it's got this unbelievable violence, and it's got Jackman's, best ever performance as Wolverine, and I'm like, God, yes, God, yes. But I must say, in my humble opinion, I think that this is the most overrated movie I've seen in quite some time. Now, is it good? Yes, it's very good. Is it the best of the Wolverine movies? Absolutely. But that is, that's very faint praise. The first Wolverine movie is one of the absolute worst comic book movies ever made, and the second one is decent up until it goes to its atrocious third act, which is kind of like saying I had a decent meal but it gave me food poisoning at the end. So we have James Mangold, the director, returning here again for this third entry to try and get it right. Now, Jackman has had multiple outings as Wolverine, and he's saying that this is the one that he's happy with. Finally, that he got the essence of the character, that he got to do it without any shackles. And there is some truth to that, definitely. I would say, as an absolute plus, that he's an amazing performance by Hugh Jackman. Very unvarnished, painful to almost watch. You feel the pain of Wolverine in this movie. Jackman's definitely the best thing in this film. Now, there are some other good elements of this film. The score rocks. The score is absolutely awesome. Loved every single beat of that, and it helped really create this dark tone, right? The opening is very good too as well. This is when we first get that taste of that violence, that we are no longer shackled by this PG-13 rating that they've had for the other Wolverine films, and we can really see them go at it, and limbs come off very quickly, and I was like, shit, okay, they are not messing around with this movie. Every second word is fuck as well. This has got profanity in it that you wouldn't have seen since comic book movie, obviously, since Deadpool. So this movie owes a very big debt to Deadpool with its rating, obviously. There are some good action sequences in this. I don't think that they're perfect action sequences. I find like they're kind of actually quite derivative of some other filmmakers. There's definitely a bit of a Mad Max vibe going on here on one major sequence too as well. But you're probably wondering, why am I holding on? Why am I not going in and saying everything that I want to say about this movie? Now, I get no joy from spoiling movies. I really don't ever want to do that. So what I will do now is I will give a little warning now that if you're going to go and see it, I know that you are, but I need to probably discuss some very mild spoilers. I'm not going to spoil the plot, I'm not going to tell you what happens, but I need to tell you what my personal problems are with Logan as a film. Now, I said I've only seen this once, right? I will go and revisit it, and I want to make sure that I'm correct about this. I don't normally change my opinion on things, but there were things that left a very sour taste in my mouth from this movie, and I need to go and make sure if I was maybe just not in a bad mood, even though I didn't think that I was. So, what are they? I think that the comparisons to other films, including Mad Max Fury Road, Shane, which actually shows there's some footage of it in this film, they hurt the film. I think that they make you think going into it that this is going to be a bona fide masterpiece, not just a decent comic book movie, but like a serious movie, a serious meditation on all these things. And I think that those comparisons, especially in the early reviews, hurt this film because it's not as good as any film that it's been compared to. This isn't even a hair on the testicles of Children of Men. I will tell you that straight off the bat. The world building in this film I thought was incredibly weak. Now, the trailers that we saw made this seem like it was a post-apocalyptic movie. Now, I don't have any problems with the horrible, convoluted, continuity of this X-Men universe. X-Men movies are atrocious to keep track of. No one, I think, at 20th Century Fox even knows what is going on in any of these films. But I must say that the trailers gave the vibe that Wolverine and Professor X are out in the desert hiding after some catastrophic event. And look, that is kind of true. Like, there is an element of that at the start of this film. But and there are no more mutants as well that they say. But early on we see that Hugh Jackman is a limo driver in this film, and he goes near the public and everything. This is not post-apocalyptic. It's set in 2029, but it seems that, everything is intact. The mutants just kind of died off. We don't know kind of how. We don't exactly know what happened to the X-Men. It's just referenced to. But, there is no real world. What is going on in this world? I never really got a true sense in this film of where they were, what was going on. And I think that the trailers made this look much more dystopian than what it really is. This is a small nitpick, but for me, it pulled me out really bad at this film. I really did not like the digital photography in this film. Now, when it cuts into certain action sequences, it had this kind of Michael Mann-esque digital, like, sheen to the action, and I was like, it really, really grated me. Those of you that might not know, think of Collateral, that Michael Mann film, and how the movie looked digital during some of the action sequences, but I didn't mind that in that context when we were following Tom Cruise when he's going around shooting people. But in this Wolverine film, when certain action sequences happen and this digital thing kind of was there, followed by what I believe is excessive CGI, I didn't like it. It pulled me out, and I thought, okay, I'd been told that this was a real-world, dark, nasty, violent film, and I thought it was going to be something, you know, akin kind of to Mad Max, with real stunts, like, you know, with some shading of CGI, but I think that there's CGI all over this film, and I could really, really feel it. I've got a really big problem with the main plot of this movie, which I haven't even addressed yet. Wolverine and Professor X are in charge of getting a girl to safety. That girl is a mutant, right? And this is obviously very Children of Men. But this girl, Laura, or X-23, that we learn, has the same powers as Wolverine. Now, that's not a spoiler. That is in the trailers. You see that. You see her attacking people. They've sold the movie on this. Now, this movie is trying to capture kind of that dynamic that we've seen of a mentor protecting his charge. There's lots of sequences in this that feel like the video game The Last of Us as well, to a lesser degree. But the problem is that Laura it is shown very quickly, she's the most dangerous thing in this film. She is more dangerous than Logan. She is more dangerous than the bad guys. She is not afraid of anyone, and she can basically kill anyone that comes into her path. And as such, and seeing that early on in this film, I never felt like I was scared for her safety. That leads me into another major problem of this movie, is the bad guys. Now, the bad guys suck, right? Richard E. Grant in this movie plays another just generic scientist trying to do who knows what. It's never really explained what his methods are, what he really wants. And when we find out who one of the film's other bad guys are in this film, it kind of invalidates the mission that they even have. Why do they even want this girl? Why are they even hunting her? It doesn't really make a huge amount of sense. I will give a shout out, though, to Boyd Holbrook, who plays the main villain, the leader of the REIVEWs in this film. He's doing a cool kind of like 1980s thing, like bad guy. He's got aviators and a gold tooth, and he really kind of has got this sleazy charisma, and I really liked it because it was kind of a throwback to the Schwarzenegger or Stallone movies. I felt like this kind of flamboyant villain. I did like that, but I never found out what he really wanted and why he was even after Wolverine. There is just no real character work. It's all just, you know, just set dressing on that. So all of this accumulated, and I felt like, you know, I was like, I've been sold the masterpiece, and this film for me just really, really didn't feel that way. There are bits, you know, when Wolverine is got all these injuries and is carving up people, and it is that chaos that you've always wanted to see on screen, and that is definitely satisfying. And there are some beats in this story that are emotional, and the last act is very, once again, kind of like 1980s action movie, and I don't mind that at all. There are even some like little winks to Universal Soldier, which I dug. So I think that a lot of people will leave this movie and think that it was rock and roll, but while I was sitting there, and trust me, I was watching this through someone who is a hardcore Wolverine fan, you know, a childhood obsessive, it wasn't the perfect film that I've been hoping for. And so as such, I can only give this 3 stars at this stage. I will go and see it again, and maybe I will lighten up, but for me, I felt a little bit disappointed. I liked it, don't get me wrong, it's the best of the 3 Wolverine movies, and it's one of the more violent, dark comic book movies we've got for a long time, but to me, it wasn't the perfect film that I sold, and so a little bit of a disappointment, I must say. So go and check it out yourself, I'm sure that you will, and I'd love to hear what you think in the comments below.